Welcome, everybody, to cloudy but racy Canada. I am Chad, and along with me, as always, here in the booth is Ray Kingsbury. And Ray, another small field here tonight, but with 5 minutes left in qualifying, Kevin Fanning looks like he's going to take the pole.
Yeah, this is an interesting week. We have neither Michael Janney or Christian Challoner here tonight. That points battle is going to stay the same. They want to make sure it stays entertaining for all the viewers. But the cool thing about that is that opens the race win up to anybody. And right now we've got Kevin Fanning out on the pole, but Brandon Lambert's only just about a tenth off of him.
Yeah, and Steve Lane just a tenth off of Lambert as well. So all three of those guys were fast in practice. Yeah, the interesting development: Christian Challoner with some real work obligations, so unable to make the race tonight. And to kind of keep that championship fight alive, Michael Janney says, "You know what? I'm gonna sit this one out and not going to take the points for this round." So he is gonna take the goose egg along with Challoner, and they're gonna stay. I believe they're at 20 or 30. I think they're 30 points apart at this point in the series.
You know, Chad, if I knew neither of them was going to show up tonight, I might have actually done some practice and left you up in the booth by yourself.
I'm glad you didn't because I wouldn't have had too much fun with that one. But
Might have been fun to watch, though.
I mean, it might have been, but
um, yeah, I mean the times are real close. We've got about 3/10 separating the top 5 cars. So I mean that's pretty close. I think we're going to see some good racing. In practice, the times are even closer, and we know at this track Mosport that it can be quite you know competitive with the draft and all that.
yeah, it's a pretty close field right now, and yeah, the top 8 drivers all within a second of each other. Uh, Most notably, Kevin Fanning, of course, on the pole, and that's AM Championship battle still is kind of raging on. So we're gonna have to see how things play out here as Jamie Allen tucks to the back of the line, trying to get any sort of slipstream he can on one final lap. Allen right now sits in that 7th position, 1/100th of a second off of Jack Belton for 6th.
All right, Chad. I think it's about that time where we start making predictions for race winners, and it's difficult for me. I want Brandon Lambert to win, but I've been hyping Kevin Fanning up all season. So I'm gonna say Kevin Fanning.
I'm gonna have to go with Lambo. I'm giving it
All
to him.
right. I would not be disappointed if Lambert wins this one. So
I know you're just a little bit biased there with being the team owner and everything, but
I'm just not convinced that Brandon has the finishing prowess after last week at Australia.
yeah, last week got a little crazy at the end of that one with Challoner hitting the wall trying to run down Janney, and then a couple other drivers catching the wall at crucial times and kind of making mistakes that put them out of it. But 2.5 minutes left in qualifying. Guys are going to have one, maybe two more attempts at it, just depending on when they cross the line. But here's a look at David Schofield, another one of those Spark cars. Looks like, yeah, Lambert's taken to pit road. So Spark cars currently running 2nd, 4th, and 6th. The 3 Ferraris in the field today. It's a smaller field once again. It's only 12 cars.
Oh, sorry. I thought Schofield ran a 15.5. It said 16.5. My bad.
Numbers are hard. It's
Really
okay.
excited, you know.
That would have been a very fast lap. The current fastest lap right now is Kevin Fanning, 1:15.8. So he is turned the fastest lap of the session so far. And yeah, it's very overcast today. It's going to cool the track off. Not going to be too warm or anything like that. Do you think that'll... how does that impact these cars?
Oh, you can absolutely throw those cars into the corners now. Not going to really have to worry about the rear end breaking loose on them. I think it'll open this track up quite a lot, actually. I think you'll be seeing a lot of passing, closer racing in general. Yeah, it'll be good. It'll be real interesting for us. The thing that tells me that this is only going to get faster is the fact that in practice, all these guys ran faster than their queue times. And that's when they were running probably their race trim. So I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, for sure. Under a minute now left in qualifying. Looks like Fanning is out on track trying to get one lap in, and he's
No, he
not
ain't.
going to do it. That was the 8 of Asphalt Dennis, unfortunately losing it out of that last corner. We'll take a look back, and yeah, just lost it through that final corner in wrong place, wrong time there for your current provisional pole sitter of Kevin Fanning.
I think a lot of the guys just realize there's not enough time for another lap.
Yeah, so Fanning just gonna. Looks like he's actually trudging around out there, just trying to get some.
Cosgrove and Allen are around.
Get a field for the track, and Allen took it to pit road. We'll take a look here. What happened to? Just lost the back end there for Jamie Allen. So he took it back to pit road. Cody Cosgrove looks like did the same, and a lot of these guys are sitting on pit road as we get ready for the checkered flag here in qualifying. Only a handful of drivers left out on track. This is Jeffrey Wallace, one of the Team Watson racing cars, as he's sitting in the 8th spot right now. Right behind him is Kevin Fanning. I don't think he's going to get a time to count. This is his out lap, so he is not going to get another one. But Jeffrey Wallace is on a hot lap. Just going to have to wait and see when he comes in and where he crosses the line. Currently working his way through this long right-hander. It's going to switch back a couple times here. It's a very interesting track. What are your thoughts here at Mosport?
I like the track. I thought I was pretty good here when we ran GT Americas here. I think it was the first season, maybe second season. We were in the GTE, I believe. Oh yeah, it was the second season because there's GT3s in the track as well. I quite liked it in the GTEs. I did just take a lap around in the Porsche to just kind of acclimate myself with a different feeling, you know, the GT3 versus what I'd experienced previously. And I actually think these GT3s drive it better. A little more comfy.
Yeah,
a little more forgiving.
It's definitely a fun little track, and yeah, it's got some nice elevation changes. The way that the cars kind of get themselves settled up, it's definitely pretty fun, especially as you mentioned in the GT3s. But got a BMW here on the pole as we take a look at the starting grid today. Nope, I lied. My timing screen was all mixed up. A Porsche on the pole with Kevin Fanning, then Brandon Lambert in his Ferrari. Steve Lane then another Porsche. All today Ferraris and Porsches through your top 6 with Lane, Schofield, Cosgrove, and Belton. And then it drops back to the lone Mercedes in the field driven by Jamie Allen. Then there's 2 BMWs of Jeffrey Wallace and Curtis Critchley. Asphalt Dennis in the 10th spot, followed up by Brian Sun and Justin Robichaux there in the 12th spot. So these guys out there getting ready to put on a good show. Are going to get ready to start our pace lap. Just a couple of drivers left ready to join in here to jump on track. But yeah, we made our predictions earlier. You got Fanning. I've got Brandon Lambert. Going to have to wait and see how this one plays out. But man, look at all those cars. It's a packed day here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we could have just made this race AM-Class only. It's actually very interesting to me that we have pretty much only AM-Class drivers remaining left in this series. Because you would have expected a lot of the pro drivers to stick around. The overall Drivers' Championship is obviously the one that matters. I know Matt's taking a break tonight, and so are a few of his teammates, and I'm sure that has something to do with a little bit lower of a driver count. But the only pro driver out there, the only blue windshield banner, is actually David Schofield, who I would not count out of a race win. He's a very consistent driver.
Yeah, that's the one thing I've noticed about him throughout the season. He's not usually competing for the wins, but he is always, running in the top 5 at the end of the race, just consistently able to hit his marks and get some laps going. The car's finally getting rolling here. You talked about David Schofield starting in the 4th position there in his Ferrari, and yeah, it's going to be a fun one for sure. I can't wait to see how this one plays out because we've had some great racing so far this season.
Certainly, Chad, and it's a smaller grid than normal, but we expect that in the Sportscar series. It usually falls off in attendance towards the end of the series. And that just means that the guys that show up every week tend to finish better in the points, and that's totally fine with them. 13 cars, though, is by no means a small grid, and there could still be some great racing in that field. I certainly would expect towards the end of the season we'll probably see 17, 18, 20 drivers again.
You can certainly hope for that, and we've definitely had some great racing all throughout this season, so just kind of a wait-and-see mentality for these guys, trying to wait and see how this race goes and wait and see if more drivers will return to the track as we look now at our pole sitter, that 54 Matco Tools car driven by Kevin Fanning, as we hop on board here. And there you see, giving a little bit of space to the pace car, kind of getting their tires and the brakes warmed up and making sure everything's up to temperature.
Well, I would certainly be tire warming right now, and I'm actually a little surprised the Ferraris aren't. You see Jack Belton, Master Chief there. He's warming up a little bit. That's smart.
Yeah.
I would certainly be getting some of those tires.
Yeah, for sure. These guys getting ready for 1 hour of what should be some fantastic racing. We're currently riding on board with that green and yellow Norwich City Spark machine. He's going to roll off from the 6th position on the grid. And there's a look at them working their way now onto the Andretti straightaway.
Well, Chad, we got 9 viewers in the chat. Guys, let us know who you think is going to take the victory tonight, as we do head down green here at Mosport.
Yeah, getting the early jump is Brandon Lambert, sweeping around the outside, and he is pulling away by about 2 car lengths right now over Kevin Fanning. Further on back, though, you see a couple of guys still battling 2 wide as they now work their way through the next couple of corners. And right now, still Brandon Lambert out front, and he's pulled another couple of car lengths onto Kevin Fanning.
A surprising mistake off the grid by Fanning there. I'm not sure what happened. I don't know if he was in the wrong fuel map or if he just missed the green. Yeah, he was in 3rd gear on the launch.
Oh, and there's a huge checkup there from Jamie Allen. Almost got rear-ended by Curtis Critchley.
So yeah, the official word, Fanning caught himself out, started in 3rd gear.
Well, that's an unexpected mistake from such a talented driver, but these guys right now just kind of getting their feet under them. You know, it's only lap 1, still plenty of racing for these guys. And look at this battle. This is towards the back of the field, but that's Asphalt Dennis there in the 8 getting by Brian Son. Brian trying to do everything he can to get back around, but can't do it as they complete lap number 1 here from Mosport.
Yeah, and I'm just taking a look at where people started and where they're currently running. Biggest mover was Brandon Lambert, and nobody else really shuffled around. Jeffrey Wallace and Curtis Critchley have changed position. That's it. So other than that, status quo as to where we started.
Yeah, just completing lap number 1 now, and
ooh, Justin Robichaux's off the track.
You see, he is a little slow there. He has recovered at this point, but yeah, he is about 13 seconds behind Brian Son, so he's just kind of logging laps on there for Team Dirty Sport. And
oh, we've got a spin in the hairpin, and it's Brandon Lambert around. He's going to rejoin towards the back of this field. It doesn't look like there's any damage on the car, but he definitely went in too hot and caught the grass.
Yeah, so here's a look at it on the replay. Up over the hill, gets his left side tires onto the grass, and unfortunately has to wait for everybody to get by. And there you see, that's just a painful feeling, just watching all those positions just slip away from you.
Well, better to do it now than at the end of the race. It's a long race, and you can certainly make up the time.
And that puts Kevin Fanning back into the top spot, and he's going to be chased down by Steve Lane there in the DDR Livewire Sim Sports Porsche. So Porsche 1-2 for the moment, followed by David Schofield, the lone Ferrari up there on the podium.
Now, that does raise the question. Brandon Lambert, he's got to gain time. But does he just box as soon as the pit window opens? Do away with all the battling on the track. Forget it. Open yourself up to a hot lap strategy.
I mean, that would make sense, but at the same time, you're going to be running more time with more weight in the car compared to the other guys that come in and they're able to take a shorter stop, right?
Well, it'll be the same pit stop time. Oh, and there's Jack Belton around right in front of him. Okay, I don't know what happened to Belton, but he was beached on the curbing on the downhill.
Yeah, looks like
They were going 3 wide, and he got pushed over onto the grass, it looked like.
Yeah, it was 3 wide with Jamie Allen and I think Jeff Wallace. And yeah, just got those right sides on the grass and kind of went around there. Unfortunate to see for Jack, but looking back live, he does, you see the Justin Robichaux, number 93, coming up behind him, just kind of sneaking into frame. And so those guys going to be battling out here at the back of the field for the time being. So 3 guys with issues so far, Lambert, Belton, and Robichaux. None of them made any contact with anything, so the cars look pretty clean. But it does give them a little bit of a hole that they have to dig themselves out of.
Absolutely. And the reason I bring up the short pitch strategy is if you're not able to cleanly make it around cars without losing time, this completely circumvents the fact that you'd have to battle against slower cars. Or even battle against cars that, you might be slightly faster than. So it's one of those things that would pay dividends. I know if I'm Jack Belton, I'm probably doing it. Brandon Lambert, maybe not.
Yeah, Lambert
Really depends how he gets through these first few cars of traffic and if he's able to keep closing the gap or if they're able to keep him at bay.
Yeah, this train that we're looking at, this is 4th on through 7th with Cosgrove leading Critchley, Allen, and Wallace. And all these guys, line astern, working their way now down the Mario Andretti straightaway. And right now, it looks like Critchley has peeked his nose out a couple times. He wants to try to find a way by, but you have to be patient in these hour-long races.
Lambert to the inside of Dennis. Oh, he pushes him onto the curb. They're still going.
Yeah, no harm, no foul yet between these two. And Lambert wants to get back by. He knows he's the faster car. He's going to try the crossover move there a little. Using all the track there is Lambert. And he send it to the inside of turn number 1. He's going to try it, but not quite close enough.
This is exactly what I was talking about, Chad. Is he's faster than Asphalt Dennis, but he can't get by him. It's going to cost him potentially a second a lap. He's already 5/10 off that lap, and he only caught him for the last sector.
And you're going to have to watch and wait and see how that plays out. But so we'll keep an eye there. But up at the front, this is your front 3 kind of broken away from the rest of the field.
Shows around at the back of the field. I'm not sure what happened to him. And Jack Belton's already in the pit lane, so I don't know if that was a scheduled stop for Belton or what. Nope, Belton had the tow. He spun it off into the tire barriers in turn 1, lap 5.
Yeah, so we'll take a look here, see if we can't catch it on the replay. Yep, oh, just absolutely overdrove the corner. Tries to save it, kept his foot in it, but no. And that's going to take Jack Belton to the pits. Unfortunate to see for Jack as he starts to get some repairs. Here's a look at Jeffrey Wallace trying to get by Jamie Allen, but not quite close enough there. Another wear in the field. We'll go back up to the front here. This is Fanning Lane and Schofield. And these 3 still battling for the 3 podium spots here today. And Cody Cosgrove pulled out to about a second now over Jamie Allen. So that second pack is kind of broken up just a little bit. And here's another battle kind of forming up. This is what we were looking at earlier between Dennis and Lambert, but you got Brian Son right there in front of them as well. Lambert just can't find a way to get by, and that just shows how difficult it is to pass here.
Yeah, I'm telling you, if I'm him, I'm boxing. I'm going to box as soon as I can. He's got to pass 7 of these guys. Just get in there. I can tell you the extra weight on a GT car is not going to really matter. I just did the MTech race at Motegi, and I was running the same lap times at the start of the race. First stint full fuel as I was. Third stint in with, just worn tires. Nearly 3 hours on them. So I think that's what you're going to see. Dennis is loose. Brandon's got the window here to pass him.
Yeah, he's going to have the inside through the final corner. Onto the curbing, and he gets by cleanly. And now he's going to have to try to get by the next car in line, and that's Brian Sohn.
He lost nearly 2 seconds behind Asphalt Dennis. He was only 8.3 back. He'd actually closed in quite a bit. And now he's 10.2 back. So, yeah, I think he's going to have to try to do something different.
Yeah, the question is, when is that move going to come? He's got a little bit until the pit window opens up, and he's got a little bit of track that he has to close the gap up to Brian Son for the 7th spot. He's currently 0.8 of a second behind him. Other places on track, looks like the field pretty much strung out. You've got the 3-second gap, 4-second gap that's opened up between Schofield and Cosgrove for 3rd. And then that next group, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th, all about a second apart from each other. So this is one of the closer battles on track, but we are keeping an eye on other goings on around the track. Lambert's caught right back up to Brian Son. But we'll go up here, actually. This is tightened up once again. David Schofield there in that black and silver Spark car, trying to get around Steve Lane in that DDR Livewire Sim Sports machine. And they are still not letting Kevin Fanning run away and hide. He's pulled out about a second, but, I mean, that's still not a insurmountable gap here.
No, not at all. I think even 10 seconds, the gap that Brandon Lambert has, I think he could make that up.
Yeah, he's shown pace, and he looks very racy, Lambert does, on his race set compared to what he had in qualifying. He qualified 2nd, so he does have some phenomenal pace around here. Just a matter of time before these guys kind of get themselves sorted out. And I mean, pit window's probably going to be open here in the next 5 minutes or so, but Lambert's just going to hold on for dear life until then.
Yeah, and the thing that is playing in his advantage is he's not the leader, so he's going to be pushing a little harder, and he's not going to be quite as nervous. Kevin Fanning, I know when I was newer to sim racing, and I wasn't used to winning, when I get out in front, I would immediately just get super nervous. I'd lose my composure. So I bet you Brandon Lambert could probably close up into the back of him.
Kevin Fanning made a mistake there through that final couple of corners, and that allowed Steve Lane to catch right back up to him. David Schofield just kind of hitting his marks, being patient, 3rd in line, just kind of settling in and kind of waiting this one out, because he knows if anybody makes a mistake in front of him. We've seen guys at the front of the pack do it before in this series, and even tonight when Brandon Lambert caught the grass. So it's definitely not out of the realm of possibility for any of these guys to take the top spot. Just a matter of time, but most of the field is pretty strung out. It looks like Jack Belton has retired from the race officially. So he is going to be scored in the 12th position at the end of the day. Justin Robichaux, he's had 2 self-spins, but I don't think he's had any contact yet, so he is about a minute behind, but he is still out there logging laps, and he is actually a little bit slower, so he might have some under tray damage or some nose damage to that car, because he is currently running well off of what he had in qualifying. Looking back here at the guy that's going to have to charge through the field, Brandon Lambert. He's right on the back of Brian Son. Can he get there? Can he get around? Not yet. And that we talk about him every week, Brian, in that Penguin RC car. And that is heavy contact there. That is significant damage. I think he's just pushing a little too hard. And that is not the safest thing there for Curtis Critchley to try to squeeze through.
Yeah, he didn't really have a choice. I don't know if Lambert didn't realize how damaged his car was, but he rolled back onto the track.
Let's take a look here at the replay. Go back one more. You know, Lambert just trying to rejoin, and unfortunately had to just squeeze through the tightest of margins, but he is back rolling. And
Critchley didn't wreck, which is amazing to me.
that was some phenomenal car control.
Contact. Did he hit the wall?
I think he barely scraped it with his right side, but he's able to keep things going. Fanning, though,
He already had that right side damage, so I'm not convinced.
yeah, Fanning, though, is still out in front, and he's trying not to use his mirrors too much, but he has to feel the pressure there from Lane and Schofield.
I think Critchley might have got away with that. No damage.
Yeah, I think he lost some time just from having to try to squeeze through, and definitely a bit of a Code Brown moment, but Man, that was some interesting driving there from Curtis Critchley. He's dropped down to the 9th position. Meanwhile, it looks like otherwise everything as we get closer and closer to the quarter distance mark. Kevin Fanning still out front. Steve Lane, David Schofield, Cody Cosgrove, then Jamie Allen. Jeffrey Wallace in the 99 Team Watson Racing car in 6th, followed by Brian Son, Asphalt Dennis, Curtis Critchley, Justin Robichaux, and then Brandon Lambert, currently on pit road. He's getting some repairs, and I think they're going to have to be extensive because he hit the wall pretty hard.
Yeah, I'm actually a little shocked. He spun like that. I know how that curb is. Easy to do that there. I'm sure. I think I might have even done it here when I was driving the GTEs. Yeah, it just seemed like it came out of nowhere, though.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's been a ton of fun watching these guys race all season long, and man, it's going to be a hectic 45 minutes left for these guys, as these are the 3 leaders now battling. Brandon Lambert has fallen 2 laps down.
You know, my money's on Kevin Fanning, but I really wouldn't mind seeing Stephen Lane win a race. I know he's worked really hard to get where he is in his sim racing career. I know I drove the 24 hours of Daytona with him. We did the top split. You got to understand, Steve Lane is the type of guy who he's a very consistent endurance racer, but even he will admit he's definitely not the fastest guy out there. I think he had like a 1600 road eye rating when we did this. And he was just absolutely chuffed to even be in that grid. So if he could pull off a race win here, that may be the highlight of his sim racing career up to this point. I would not be shocked.
Yeah, we've grown familiar with a bunch of these drivers from every just every series that we run with them, whether it's here, whether it's in the championship series or Rallycross, or just from racing.
Wide.
Just from racing everything with them, and he's going to have to be on the defensive now. Steve Lane looks to the outside, but not quite there. But yeah, just knowing these guys for so long from so many different series and so many disciplines, these guys still just kind of taking their time. It's great to be familiar with your competitors, because you can you're a little more comfortable with them compared to, say, if you're just in a public race where you don't know what the guy in front of you or behind you is going to do. So these guys, very great sports and great sportsmanship all throughout this series. So going to be fun to watch these guys here tonight.
I think we might be seeing a couple moves before the end of the night here. This might be one of them. Nope. And I think David Schofield, he might have a shot at this. And I think Cody Cosgrove, if you're counting out him, you're crazy. Once these guys start battling, watch this battle close back up. Heck, Jamie Allen, you get in there, man. Brian Sohn, pick up the pace, because you're right there as well.
Yeah, that's your top 3 right there on your screen, and they're about 3/4 of a second to a second apart.
Dennis is on pit lane.
The thing that I've noticed, by the way, I think he's been there for quite some time as well. He must have had an issue out there on track. But the thing for Kevin Fanning or Steve Lane or David Schofield is, or the thing for David Schofield specifically is he'll get right back up to the rear wing of Steve Lane, but the moment he's there, he kind of gets a little too conservative, I think, racing so close to these guys, and kind of backs off just a little bit.
Yeah, I think he's more safe than sorry. The incident that took Asphalt Dennis out, Jeffrey Wallace stuffed it into the tire barrier at the top of the hill. He didn't really do much else wrong other than that. He started to kind of back it up near the edge of the racing surface, and Asphalt Dennis also ran it wide and clobbered him. So he ran off into the back of Jeffrey Wallace under a local yellow condition. It's hard to say whether or not Wallace was coming back on the racing surface or if he was just trying to give himself a little room to turn around. But the result is a damaged car for Wallace, and Asphalt Dennis is in the pit lane.
There's a look at Jeffrey Wallace missing the entire rear trunk lid, and man, it's It's going to be a little breezy in that cockpit now, as he's going to work his way down to pit road.
Curtis Critchley also down pit lane, both TWR. BMWs are down pit lane.
Yeah, the thing for these guys is the pit
Critchley
window
must have had an
is
off.
open.
Yeah, Critchley had an off that lap as well. So they're both not having the greatest of luck. Critchley actually went Formula D into turn 2. Full lock. I don't know how he's not out of this race.
That's going to promote Justin Robichaux at the end of this lap to the 7th position. So both of those guys, with Wallace and Critchley, both of them were actually really short stops. They worked their way back out here. I'm surprised to see
Schofield
that.
on the back of Lane, who is on the back of Fanning, and Cody Cosgrove has closed it down to 4.2 seconds.
And I've noticed the thing for Kevin Fanning is he loses a bunch of time there in that final sector, but the first couple of corners here, he's able to open the gap right back out. So definitely going to be fun to watch. And looks like Reese says DDR-P1 for sure. That's going to be Steve Lane there, the Drop Dead Racing Livewire Sim Sports machine there. That 66 orange and yellow and black and white and all the colors car there. So definitely fun to watch. It's 2 AMs there in Fanning and Lane. You can tell that by the red on both the number plate, the visor, as well as the end plates on the wings, where David Schofield with the blue trim that you see there. And yeah, they are catching up to the back of Justin Robichaux. And there you see just out in front of them. So a little while still for them to catch, but I think that they are going to catch up sooner rather than later, because Robichaux's lap times are about 2 seconds a lap slower than these front guys at the front of the field.
I'm just trying to figure out where they're maybe compromising their line a little bit, and I see Schofield drives it in a little deep on a couple corners, but also backs it up on others. So it's probably just a difference in characteristic on the cars. But turn 1, or sorry, not turn 1, turn 2 here is where I'm really noticing it.
Yeah, it's a very wide line from Fanning through that complex every single time as well. He runs about a half a car to a full car width wider than either Steve Lane or David Schofield. So these guys right now just kind of holding steady and not letting each other get away, because I mean they really don't have they don't really have anywhere to run and hide to. These guys have been so on pace with one another the entire race. So gonna be fun to watch as this minutes continue to tick on down. Just over 21 minutes complete so far. There you see 38 and a half or so to go here from the Penguin RC Simulation Sports Car Challenge from Mosport north of the border, as these guys work their way through the final corner, starting to slowly catch up to Justin Robichaux.
I think the Ferrari's fast. I just don't know if it can overtake here, like in an exit of a corner situation. I think the only spot they can really take it is on that long straightaway, the Andretti straight. I think they can do it there. As both Porsches actually check up out of this corner, so let's see. And they're coming up on Robichaux. You see Schofield really backs it up. Maybe he's just expecting a nice exit here. Good thing he did, because Robichaux nearly rejoining onto the racing line. As we have a move, and he backs out of it. That is Steve Lane.
That was one of the worst parts on track, I think, to catch that that lapped car. But Robichaux ended up going wide. But no harm, no foul. He
Look
keeps
who's
things
closing
pointed.
the gap. And that's Cody Cosgrove down to 3.8 seconds. The 16.7 last lap.
There you see him sneaking into your picture there, but still significantly behind. Slowly but surely catching in. Their laps are compromised for your front three, trying to get there. And Jack Belton jumping in the chat saying, "Come on, Schofield, you got these boys." I agree. Let's see him get up there. Let's see him get around. Let's see him fight for that. That's what I call team spirit there for the Spark Boys. He can make the move right here. He's right on the back wing of Steve Lane going into turn 1. but once again just backs out of it and settles back in for third.
Yeah, it's starting to string out a little. Fanning's getting a little bit of a gap now. Maybe Cosgrove's worn those front tires off. I don't know. I've been noticing he's been driving it a little deeper into some of the corners.
Yeah, that's
Very interesting indeed.
That's something that
Cosgrove's gotten the gap down to 3.3 seconds now.
that's
Even more so.
that's something that I haven't even really thought about. Is Schofield just saving his tires, sitting here in third, and just waiting for him to get something, save his tires a little bit and then just pour it on there at the end.
Excuse me. Chad, I don't really think so. I think he's probably, if anything, just it's the way that car drives. Maybe he's saving a little bit of fuel back there, but so would Cosgrove be. So it'll be interesting to see if they have shorter pit stop times than Kevin Fanning.
Yeah, Fanning's been leading this whole race and probably using some more fuel than everybody else around him. But Fanning, Lane, Schofield, still your top three. And we are keeping an eye on other battles around the track. But unfortunately, with some of the attrition that we've seen so far, it looks like most of the field otherwise is pretty strung out. We do have two more official retirements now, with Lambert and Dennis both disconnected. So they'll finish 10th and 11th, respectively. Curtis Critchley still sitting on pit road, getting some repairs. So maybe we will see him jump back out there, but he currently sits 4 laps down.
Oh, Fanning wide. Okay, he saved it.
And that's what kind of that all.
Cosgrove with a wiggle. This is Schofield's chance if he can get the launch down the straightaway with the draft. I hope he goes for it because I think this could be the move that gets him up into P2.
There you see.
Yeah, Steve Lane's going to protect the inside. I think I said Cosgrove, but I meant Steve Lane.
Yeah, fading to the outside just a little bit is Steve Lane. Very edge of the track. Yeah, just pinched him to the very outside of the track, and now he's trying to go around the outside. Can he do anything with it? I know last time we were here, actually, if I remember right, it came down to, I think it was, I'm trying to remember who it was, but on the last lap, 2 or 3 drivers actually miscalculated their fuel, and it was a huge decider in the race here last time we were here in Season 2. So these guys need to make sure they get their numbers right and make sure they're in position to make a move when that time comes. But right now, Schofield tucks back in line, and he's just going to sit and kind of play peekaboo behind Steve Lane.
Yeah, I think people don't know this series has a decent pedigree by now. It'll be a year old coming up to the new year here. So this is our 3rd season. 4th season, actually. Wow. And it's been quite competitive.
Yeah, we had, I think it was Season 1 came down to a tie for the championship. We were close to having one. I think that this DNF did not start from both Challoner and Janney. Kind of eliminated that perspective result, but otherwise, these guys.
Yeah, somebody has to come out on top now.
Yeah, these guys always have put on a fantastic show. Kevin Fanning, he's been around, I think, since Season 1, along with Steve Lane and Cody as well. So some of the guys up at the front of the field, they've definitely been around the block a time or two here in the series.
Absolutely, Chad. I really enjoyed racing this series. I do kind of miss it, actually, but I definitely have my hands full with the championship series and Rallycross, and now Majors Endurance Championship. So maybe one day we'll return back to this grid, but I'm also enjoying really being in the booth with you. It's been a lot of fun. We've been watching some great racing every week. And I did do a couple rounds this year. Not like I completely retired.
Nah, hang it up. You're just like Josh. You're washed up and old and need to be up here in the booth.
I don't know. Keeping up with Christian Challoner for 15 minutes, I think, proved otherwise.
I mean, 15 minutes in a 45 or for an hour race. I mean, come on, man.
I mean, we just didn't have the car set up right. We just kind of loaded our Motegi setup into Barber. Not really similar tracks.
Uh-oh.
Oh, we got to move to the outside. And that's going to open the door for Schofield, actually, as well.
Now
to go to the outside.
Yeah, and he's going to have the inside here through the final corner. And almost some contact there with their side-by-side drag race through the start-finish line.
Oh, this is
And
some great
still
racing,
on the inside is David Schofield through turn number 1, but fighting around the outside is Steve Lane, and Steve's going to hold on to that second spot. And all that this has done, well, first of all, it's given Kevin Fanning about a second lead, but that's Cody Cosgrove right there.
All right. Mind me saying, Chad, this may be one of the smaller grids of the season, but this is one of the best battles we've had all season. I mean, we've got 4 cars at the halfway point of this race fighting for the race lead.
Yeah, for sure. And, these guys up at the front, and they're going to have their hands full for the rest of this race. But, I mean, looking back at the 5th position, the newcomer to the league, Jamie Allen, out there, the lone Mercedes running the rest of the season, I believe. I think there actually might be one other, but he's just kind of out there logging laps at this point, getting as much practice in as he can.
But I think Seth Rawls technically switched over to a Mercedes.
Yeah, he made the switch. We have not seen him back in the car to make that debut in the new manufacturer. But yeah, your front 4. And here comes
Schofield to the pit lane.
This is
that's a smart move, personally.
Yeah, just about halfway here. He's going to break the race up into basically 2 stints, and he's going to duck down pit road and try to get some clean air.
All right, David. Do not take tires, my friend. That'd be bad.
He is in his box.
That was a smart move. I think what he was doing was he was essentially using the lap traffic as a pick. He saw there was a lapped car ahead. And if you look, Jeffrey Wallace actually just ran off in front of the leaders.
He did not take tires. 10.7 on the clock for David Schofield. He drops back to 5th for the moment. But up the front, it looks like Fanning and Lane kind of just pulled themselves a little bit of a gap back to Cody Cosgrove.
Yeah, indeed, Cosgrove at a 17.2 last lap, and Lane's been pushing hard, and he looks like he might even try to make a move on Fanning this time. Definitely got the run to try it. He's alongside going into the braking zone off of Andretti straight. This is going to be interesting. We know that outside line's good. We know that inside line's good. Who ends up? Whoa!
Just
Steve
a
Lane
power move.
Cleared him.
That was a power move from Steve Lane.
That might have been Kevin Fanning just saying, you know what, man, you have it. I'm just going to pit this lap or something. Or this next lap, because I was not expecting that move at all.
No, maybe just tuck it in line, maybe just save a little bit of fuel. I'm not sure that'd be the right move.
Justin Robichaux was limping on the side of the track.
Yeah, not sure.
All right, David Schofield's pit lap. Pit in was a 1:23.1. And his out lap, we're about to find out.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's
1:39.3. So we're gonna find out when everybody else pits what their lap times are.
I'm not sure if that's there must be a mechanical issue of some sort for Robichaux because he just limped it off the track and just
he was towed.
Yeah, he took a tow, but yeah. So Steve Lane and Kevin Fanning right now. David Schofield, by the way, his last lap 1:16.6. That was, so with his outlap, actually, it was a 1:39.5. So we're going to have to, or 1:39.3. So we're going to have to wait and see next lap what his times do and where he ends up cycling back out on track.
Yeah, we see these guys up front have fallen off just a little with the battling, so should be pretty interesting.
Yeah, for sure. That's your front 3 at the moment between Lane, Fanning, and Cosgrove. Jamie Allen kind of cut down that now within 8 seconds of these guys, but his lap times have not been quite what the rest of the guys have. He was a couple tenths slower last lap as well, so he kind of cuts that lead a little bit and then kind of gives it right back, but just kind of waiting and seeing how these guys and their lap times filter out, especially for David Schofield now that he's got a bunch of clean racetrack as he just went to a 1:17 flat, which was 2 tenths faster than Cody Cosgrove.
Yeah, he's about the same pace as them. So if his pit entry was good, he could have passed him. That's really what it's going to come down to. Of course, these guys technically out there have a little bit of a pace advantage. Not that That's a definite. So we'll see how it all cycles out after the pit stop. But I do think it wasn't a bad move from Schofield. Didn't really have anything to lose by doing it. But he does have some stuff to gain.
You know, I think we need to get a safety car out there. What do you think?
You know, we had a bunch of them in the championship series last night. You know who's back out on the track?
Curtis Critchley.
Master Chief is back out on the track.
Oh, Jack Belton has joined back into the session. Let's see if...
After repairing the car, looks like he's going to get out there, try to turn some laps, and take a few spots. Now that's a championship mentality. I mean, he only has to run 10 laps, and he can gain 4 spots. Maybe more. He could get a top 10 out of this. Justin Robichaux has not retired his car. He has repaired his car. Oh! Jeffrey Wallace just got punted by Jamie Allen. Not once, not twice, but I think 3 times. The Brit has laid the bumper of the AMG to the lapped car.
Wow. That was
he definitely wanted that apex, I tell you that much.
That was quite the move right there, but with all that damage to Jeffrey Wallace's car, I mean, it's an interesting move there from Allen trying to force it, but just trying not to lose any time.
Yeah, I really can't say I blame him. I would have expected a car that's a lap down to move off the racing line for me. These guys are definitely slower than they were before. Schofield's times actually, I was going to say they're good enough, but then he just had an incident on his last lap and lost about 6 seconds. He spun.
Schofield's last lap was a 124.2.
Yeah, he spun at the top of the hill. Same thing Lambert did early on, except not nearly as critical of a spin. I mean, still don't count him out of this. It's still long enough time left that he could get back in this, but unfortunately for David, that's putting him out of it for now.
So there's Jack Belton back out on track after his contact earlier, so he got back out there. Curtis Critchley, we just saw him sitting on pit road still. Jeffrey Wallace came down. We just talked about him just a moment ago. He was down for some short repairs, but still missing basically the entire back half of that race car. Brian Son in the 6th position. Kept things clean so far, and he's up into the 6th spot from starting, I believe, 10th there for the 03. David Schofield, we saw him battling with your leaders earlier. He talked about his spin just a moment ago, but he is now about 35 seconds behind your leaders. He's got basically just hot lapping until leaders work their way down pit road. And
yeah, and even still, he's going to have a gap out the front.
Yeah, the thing is that he's 36 seconds behind, and these guys are averaging about 30 to 36 seconds on pit road. So it's going to be close seeing where they cycle out. Just got to wait and see what happens here with Schofield, as he does have the opportunity to turn some clean laps, but 116.9 for Steve Lane last time. That's one of the fastest laps we've seen out there in a while, as well as Cody Cosgrove going to a 116.8.
Well, you weren't paying attention because the lap before that, Kevin Fanning did a 16.6. Yeah, I mean, I hate to say it. I know you said a 36-second gap for the pit stop, but I don't think it's going to be that much. I think David's going to be further back. I think it's about 30 seconds for a pit stop here.
And by the way, it looks like Robichaux in the Twitch chat, I think that's Justin anyway, says, car is pooped. The track is tougher than I expected, I won't lie. The car really doesn't like the elevation changes. Yeah, there's a lot of elevation changes around here, and look at this battle. Wow!
Leaders all around. Kevin Fanning's got a dent on his car. What just happened?
So we'll go back here. We just missed it. Let's see here.
I said David Schofield might be out of this. I'm a liar, obviously. Okay, so Steve Lane lost it all by himself. A little lazy slide going into the turn after Andretti. I don't know what happened.
You mean Fanning, by the way.
No, it was Steve Lane. Oh. And then he spun and hit Kevin Fanning, actually. And that put Kevin Fanning into a lazy spin. Cosgrove had to avoid. Cosgrove got through relatively unscathed. Steve Lane, I mean, it doesn't look like he's got a lot of damage on the car, but definitely a wrinkled fender. And Kevin Fanning is beached. well, not beached, but he's a ways back.
And he's going around again.
Kevin Fanning's now parked and towed. Oh man, he
Oh,
made contact with Jamie Allen.
you have.
Jamie had made a recovery from running off in turn 2, and unfortunately was in the middle of the road. Tough one for both drivers.
So here, let's look. This is Jamie Allen trying to limp his way back onto the track.
Unfortunately, he tried to go to the left side of the track to give Kevin Fanning the exit of the corner, and then he also turned back to where he was, and yeah, that just ended Fanning's race.
Yeah, there's
And it looks
significant
like
damage
Jamie's
to
race
Jamie as well. Yeah. So both of them are now on pit road. There you see him taking some of those repairs. Kevin Fanning on pit road as well. Jeffrey Wallace limping around out there, currently in the 5th spot, 1 lap down. And suddenly, this is just a 2-horse race, maybe 3, depending on where Schofield cycles out.
Yeah, we were saying maybe David was out of this, but honestly, he might only be like 2-3 seconds back at this point, and that's if Cosgrove didn't give up that time. Maybe they're dead even. Maybe that David Schofield's in this thing. I don't really know how much time they lost on that little spin.
Yeah, they lost about 4 seconds from that. They were 36 seconds up. Now it's down to 32. So, gonna have to just kind of fingers crossed, wait and see if you're a David Schofield fan. Oh man, 20 minutes left, 1/3 the distance remaining, and these two guys at the front gonna have to pit here with the next couple of laps.
Well, Chad, we were saying that this was a great battle and it was entertaining. It still is. A little drama for the race leaders, surprising, but I think it's going to shape up to an interesting strategy here for David Schofield. If he could put the laps down, he might be able to find himself on top, despite a mistake. But these DDR guys, they're kind of 1-2, where they're kind of nose to tail. I don't know how much damage is on either of their cars, but I imagine they're going to try to be helping each other. As Lane nearly runs it off the track, a little too hot into that corner.
Yeah, and it's interesting. It was interesting line there from Steve. I think he's just trying to take the wider entry to try to open up the exit of the corner, get a better launch off, but it didn't seem to work out there. He did lose some time, but he is still sitting right in the slipstream of his teammate. So that gap back to David Schofield has ticked down under 32 seconds now, 31.9. So he's slowly but surely making up time.
I'd like to highlight one driver, and that's Brian Sohn. I believe he has not done his... No, he has done his pit stop already, which to me is also impressive. He sits P4. Maybe we can do the Penguin RC Sim onboard camera for our title sponsor. As everybody knows, Penguin RC makes radio control car, I guess, equipment. I'm not really too familiar with that industry, but they also make simulation products, everything from SimiCube, Fanatic. They're starting to do some PRS stuff, iFlag, etc. Some pretty cool stuff that Brian puts together, and he's kind enough to offer promotional credit and prizes to our drivers. I intend to take full advantage of that and try to gain some prizes myself by the end of the year. And yeah, we really appreciate him, as well as all of our sponsors, Majors Garage, Sim Racer Coin with Sim Thunder. Really looking forward to seeing what that marketplace can do. Nitro Circus, obviously. There's just so many. I Drive Sim Training. Lots of really great partners and sponsors over in this league. And the DDR boys are in. DDR with Livewire SimSport, Steve Lane, that team owner, led in by his teammate Cody Cosgrove.
And it looks like a little bit of a struggle on pit entry. I think Cody lost maybe.
And here comes Schofield. Let's see if there's enough of a gap. Schofield's on the front straightaway already. Here he comes. I think he's gonna maybe take him.
Have
maybe
to
not.
wait and see where
Cody's
he comes
gonna be
out. Yeah, Cody now working his way through the pit exit lane. Where does that leave Schofield? He's right there. He's going to take the second spot, though. Yes, I mentioned it. Steve Lane with some trouble on pit entry. Lost a ton of time, and he was actually stopped another 2 additional seconds compared to Cody Cosgrove.
Yeah, probably a little extra fuel. I don't think he had trouble on pit entry, but it did seem like he had trouble getting it stopped in his box, maybe.
Yeah, might not have known where his box was. It's like pretty congested pit road. There's
So
a
we said
couple of cars sitting
David
down there.
Schofield would be a little bit behind, and I guess that was right. I mean, he's not out of this race. There's still a battle for this race win. David obviously knows that. He's certainly not going to let this go down without a fight. He wants that win.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that all these guys with, what we normally see in this is it's basically a 2 or 3 car race depending on who shows up. But it's always Janny and Challoner, and then sometimes we'll get guys like Savy and Ragster or yourself jumping in there to kind of fight up at the front of the field. But tonight with those guys out, these guys battling for the overall win, which is going to be pretty, knowing the competition that we see in this league, it's got to mean a lot to some of these guys.
Well, both of our picks are out. So I'm rooting for David.
I completely understand that one. I think all these guys have yet to get their first series win overall, so it'd be great for any of them. Can't wait to see who comes away with the victory here. So we've got 15 minutes left in this one. The only question I have is, did David Schofield add enough fuel? Because he's got the fastest pit stop by about 3 seconds over anybody else.
Well, let me tell you, I am pretty certain he probably did. I do know for a fact that he and Brandon Lambert were running pretty low downforce setup here, which they were surprised about. They were really cranking the wing out of that car, and they were running pretty good straight line speed. So it would not surprise me if they just had lower fuel burn.
I guess that makes sense, science and aerodynamics and stuff.
And I do know at even Barber, they were adding less fuel than I was for the pit stop.
That's one of those things, it's single class, but multiple manufacturers for these guys. And right now, it's looks like Cosgrove, if he can keep his nose clean and just got to hold off Schofield. We've seen how difficult it is to pass here.
Yeah, I mean, that Ferrari, though, could slipstream down the back straight, especially if the Porsche doesn't have the draft in front of it. David was having a hard time passing Steve Lane, but he was also drafting off of Kevin Fanning ahead of him. So I think if it's a one-on-one where he's got just one car ahead of him and he's able to get the slip plus the straight line speed of the Ferrari, he might be able to get it done. And he did go 0.3 faster that lap, so I would not count him out.
Yeah, the gap down to 1.4 seconds for David Schofield. Trying to get back to the rear wing of Cody Cosgrove, and right now, I can't wait to see how this plays out.
Justin seems to think that the Porsche's tires might start to drop off soon, allowing David to close in. I didn't really experience that in the Porsche, but that does sound about right. Doesn't sound like that's too far-fetched with the balance of the car. I think the Ferrari gets a little better as the field goes on, and the Porsche gets tiny bit, a little bit worse. Hence why, no matter what my fuel load is, with the Porsche, I'm always the same speed usually. But with other cars, I usually get faster towards the end of the run.
Yeah, for sure. These guys still logging laps. Next week, going to Road Atlanta for the race there. And hopefully we'll have our championship contenders back to see how that plays out for them. But we got this race to focus on right now, and yeah, I mean, it's still Cosgrove, Schofield, Lane, Brian Son, and then Jeffrey Wallace currently running in the 5th position. And those are
and then after Road Atlanta, we have Daytona, which is the last time we were there.
Oh my goodness, that was.
We had a tie for the championship. Realistically, Davian Ragster beat me. It came down to a penalty that demoted. This is why we changed our rule book. It demoted a car for a lap 1 incident about 15 seconds. You basically wrecked the car out. And we did penalties based on the time lost to the other driver, effectively back then, and we just edited the results. that might sound good in all honesty, and we thought it was pretty fair, and we had a review panel and and all that. But since then, we've moved to a tier system where you essentially you'll keep your finishing position, but you'll earn safety and penalty points. So if you get to a certain you lose championship points, but you also lose safety points, which lose too many, you get banned for a race. It takes out the impact of ruining a championship based on somebody else's actions. And we can go into a million what ifs as to what would happen, with penalties. But the last time we were there, lots of championship drama. It makes me wonder. Big straightaways. Other people can probably keep up to Janny and Challoner. Do we get championship drama?
I mean, I think absolutely we will. And that's a track that a lot of these guys are going to be very familiar with, too. I mean, it's one of the most common tracks that we see guys practice in just because of how many series that run it. And, of course, it's known for the Daytona 24. And, I mean...
Oh, did I mention it's a night race?
That too. I mean, under the lights at Daytona, headlights are going to be...
Full moon?
Going to be
BMW
flashing.
drivers? Audi drivers?
It's definitely going to be a fun one for sure. Can't wait for that, but we've still got a couple of races until then. And we got to finish this one out with 10 laps to go now.
Schofield took 2/10 out the last lap, and this lap it looks like it was another almost 2/10, or like a tenth and a half. So he's actually closed that gap down to 1.2 seconds. It was 1.5. He could be right there. He gets within a second. You're going to start noticing that toe down the straightaway.
Yeah, it's a very long straightaway. Well, it's called a straightaway. There's some, slight kinks, but it's flat out the entire time. And under 10 minutes to go, we could have a race on our hands.
I think we do have a race on our hands. This is the definition of a race. This is a cat and mouse game right here. David's just got to get some good launches onto the straightaway, and I think take advantage of that Ferrari's horsepower. I think he can do it.
I don't think he got the best launch there. He lost about a tenth on exit of that corner onto the straightaway, but tucks back in. Yeah, and I definitely think he's within that slipstream range. But we're going to have to wait and see how much of that he can catch up here with under 10 minutes remaining.
Oh, he closed up right there in the sweepers.
And by the way, we talked about Jack Belton getting back on track. He was set to finish 12th. He's already up to 9th, and he's probably going to get Justin Robichaux before the end of the race.
If he'd gotten back out on the track earlier, he would have gotten 6th place. Jamie Howell and Kevin Fanning are both out, and they're 8 laps down. Fortunately for him, there's not 12 laps left in this race.
Yeah, he's just going to run out of time to make up any more than just that one position on Justin. But, and still, climbing, that's just determination right there with Jack just getting out there and logging as many laps as he possibly can just to kind of salvage some points for him and for his team as his teammate right now trying to go for the overall victory.
Jeffrey Wallace is going to play a factor in the battle for the race lead here. I can't help but say it. Lap traffic coming up on the leaders. It looks like David lost some time there, but his lap times all up until that point had been better, so I don't know what happened.
Yeah, so it's back up to a second and a half, and smart move there from Jeffrey Wallace, pulling down pit road. That's just a heads-up bit of driving, just kind of working his way down pit road. We're at the point here where he actually can park it and not lose any more positions. The only thing would be if somebody crashed in front of him, he'd be able to get that. But it does look like it's going to be a top 5 for Jeffrey Wallace, regardless of what happens the rest of the way here.
David Schofield lost 2/10 that lap, but he's, I think, closing it back up this lap.
Yeah, the gap. You see the gap right there. It's at a second now, right on the nose. He's definitely going to have a run here at some point pretty soon.
If he could get through the top of the hill better here. Okay, Crosgrove was on the curbs there. David just doesn't get the rotation he needs mid-corner, though. Well, he's made up the ground, though, and with the slipstream, he might be able to make up some more here. Seems like he gave it away on the straightaway. Very odd. Yes. And now the Ferrari's starting to gain its legs back.
Yeah, he definitely picks it
Ooh,
up
you
there towards the
overdrove a
end.
little.
He definitely picks up sometime towards the end of the straight, but during the middle section, that the launch that the Porsche gets really does help him out. But yeah, you can't be making mistakes like that. He gave a couple of tenths back.
But then on the opposite end of that, Cosgrove missed the next corner too. So actually, Schofield made up 4/10 that lap. Actually, more than 4/10.
Yeah, so
A little bit more.
Cosgrove, Schofield, the two guys left in the battle for the lead. Only 5 cars remaining left on track. Belton did officially get by Robichaux now. And I have to give a shout out, by the way, Ray, to Jason Owens trying to get you invited over to the Indy Pro 2000s running on an oval tonight. They've got the strength of field race. So he wants you over there for that one. You might have to put the racing gloves back on.
You know, Chad. I don't think anybody wants to see me in those cars. I'm just too good.
I mean, you did take second in the championship that we ran in those things.
Yeah, I mean, we were outclassed by setup. I don't think that was a raw skill thing.
But hey, you know what? I was able to beat you in one race, and that's fine by me.
Yeah, and we both took home wins in that series. That was good.
Yeah, it was definitely fun. For sure, but shout out to Jason Owens as well. He does so much for the iRacing community, both in the PM18s as well as a couple other series that he helps operate and run. So shout out to him for everything he does for the iRacing community. He's part of the PM18 community manager. I don't know whatever the term is for it, but helps get the schedule together and all that. And he's a great guy over there. So always fun to check out and race with those guys on Tuesday nights. You're always welcome back over there, Ray.
Says, told you, DDR P1.
It ain't over. It ain't over.
It ain't over. Not until the fat lady sings.
Your mom better get ready.
Ouch. You're on live comms, my friend.
Oops. Yeah, the gap leveled out right now between Schofield and Cosgrove at about a second. So I have to see how things come to fruition here. With just a handful of laps remaining, we took just about 4 minutes. So I'd expect it to be 3, if not 4 more laps.
Yeah. Hopefully Schofield's got enough fuel, like you said.
The gap now 0.8 of a second, and we're keeping a close eye on that. We've got the timing and scoring there up on your screen. 0.8 of a second for Schofield, now down to 7.
Yeah, he gets through a couple of these corners better, but he loses it at the top of the braking zone up the hill here. The Porsche's able to rotate that first curb a lot better, and then obviously the second as well, right off the brakes.
Using all of that curbing on the inside, Cody Cosgrove.
Ooh, good launch from Schofield, though.
Yeah,
now he's got the clip.
Yeah, Cosgrove using all the track there on exit, and he sets in the slipstream. Handful of laps remaining. How will this play out?
Oh, Schofield's flying. 157 into that corner. Cosgrove's top speed was 152.
And half a second now the gap. About 3 laps remaining here for these guys.
There's a little aero wash in these cars, so he's going to start feeling a little push, David Schofield. Let's hope that doesn't affect him. I'd like to see a battle.
Well, it's been a great battle so far, and both of these guys, by the way, have pulled out another about 10 seconds from Steve Lane, so Steve must have made a mistake at some point. So he has dropped back. He's now 14 seconds behind your 2 leaders here.
Yeah, Steve did have another off.
And by the way, for a lot of these drivers, they are going to get their highest ever finishes in the series, and all of them.
Oh, David dropped the wheel in the dirt. Oh no.
All of them have
had the run.
All of them have been with us for a couple of seasons now. I think especially Brian Son is the one that's going to be most proud of his finish. He's he's the one guy that basically gets the Iron Man award every season. He doesn't DNF from any race, just about ever, unless the damage is completely
Oh,
terminal. So shout
Schofield
out to
is
him.
there, Chad. He's there.
Look at how close that gap is now. Has 2 laps to go, it looks like it's going to be. As it crosses the line now, 1:27 left, and lap times are about 1:16. So, man, he is right there, but you see him just give up so much time there through turn 1. Schofield trying to claw any bit back that he can.
He does gain back in turn 2, though. Very good through there.
Now they start climbing their way up the hill and working their way closer to the straightaway that Schofield is licking his chops for, trying to get the slingshot. And you see him there right in the tire tracks of Cody Cosgrove.
What do we got, Chad? We got another lap after this? Maybe 2?
Now we're going to have one more lap, taking the white flag next time.
Yeah, 57 seconds. You're right. We're going to have one more next time by. So Schofield's got a chance to close the gap and then finish at the next lap.
And there you see him just sitting, waiting. He did lose some time through the hairpin, but he's making up that time right back, down to 4/10.
He breaks a little early. Making sure he can set up his run here.
And he is right there, less than a car between them.
Last time I drove this track, I had a Ferrari going behind me into that last corner, and it made a desperation move over the inside curb and knocked me off.
And there you see the white flag waving as these guys come by for the final lap here from Mosport. Does Schofield have anything in it? Does he have enough fuel? Does Cosgrove have the defensive lines to hold him off for one final go around this circuit? It's been a fantastic race all evening long. Just going to have to wait and see.
Sideways.
And that just shows how much he is pushing through this final lap. The gap has grown about half a second. You see it there, but it closes up once again. Now up the hill, through the hairpin. He needs to get a good launch here. David does. He's pushing, giving it everything he has, and he got the launch that he needed. Can he do it now down the straight? He's going to be in the slipstream. Expect a very defensive line here from Cosgrove. But does he have enough? When is Schofield going to be able to make his move? I don't think he's going to have it. He tucks to the outside, but Schofield defensive. A little wide there from Schofield. He's going to try to set it up. Can he cross him over? He's right there. Through the final couple of corners they come, and Cody Cosgrove gets his first overall win here in the Penguin RC Sportscar Challenge. What a fantastic battle for him and David Schofield, who comes home in second.
Yeah, it was a great battle. I think David had the pace. I just don't think he had the ability to pass.
Yeah, he had a couple of opportunities and thought about making the move there at the end, but unfortunately not able to do so. As Cody Cosgrove, wow, what a fantastic fight.
Indeed.
And with that, let's take a look here at the final results of the evening as Cody Cosgrove takes the top spot by less than half a second over David Schofield, then Steve Lane and Brian Son, the only 4 drivers that finished on the lead lap. Jeffrey Wallace limped around to a 5th place finish 3 laps down, and then the attrition really sat in. Kevin Fanning 6th, followed by Jamie Allen. Jack Belton clawed his way from last at 1 point to 8th just by logging some laps out there. And then it was Justin Robichaux, Curtis Critchley, Asphalt Dennis, and Brandon Lambert wrapping up the field in the 12th position.
A really great race, Chad. That finish was probably one of the closest ones we've seen all season. That half second really doesn't do it justice. It was really closer than that. I mean, they were on each other's bumper in the last corner. David had to try and move out around the outside and compromise the line the next corner. So, he attempted the move in the last sector.
Yeah, it was a fantastic bit of driving there for these guys. And looks like we do have our race winner here joining us up in the booth. And Cody, wow, what a race.
Yeah, that was a tough one for sure. I had a really rough start and just took me a while to get my groove.
And what was it like those last couple laps, seeing David slowly getting bigger and bigger in your mirror?
I was getting scared, to be honest. I thought he was gonna have me, uh, but I had no tires left. I pushed a little too hard trying to catch up to Kevin and Steve, and then something happened, and then I saw a gap, so I took it.
And of course, no Janny or Challenger tonight, but you get your first overall win in the series, and you keep the DDR podium and overall win lead on the season alive as well. What are your thoughts there?
Oh, I'm excited. Like this is the first time in like these seasons I've been running with you guys that I've been actually put a good season together. So I'm pumped that I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah, it's been fantastic to watch you so far, and we've got a couple races left. Road Atlanta next week. What are your thoughts looking ahead?
The last two tracks I've done a couple of 24 hours there. I really like Daytona. I'm not a big fan of Road Atlanta, but we'll get through it.
All right, man. Well, hey, congratulations on the overall win. Do you have anybody you want to thank tonight?
Yeah, I want to thank Livewire Sim Sports and Sim Experience. God damn, can't speak. The wife and kid, you guys for putting on a good show, and that's about it.
Well, hey, congratulations on the victory. It was a hard-fought one, and we got a couple hard races left. So best of luck the rest of the way.
Thanks, guys.
And it's Cody Crosgrove, your overall winner tonight, and it's going to be followed up quickly by your second place overall finisher, David Schofield. David, you were right there at the end. Do you think if you had one more lap, you would have had a shot?
I think it would have been a serious possibility. Cody drove a really good race. I could tell the Porsches are kind of falling off towards the end there. That was part of my strategy, just kind of hang back and see if I could maybe get an overtake.
You played the strategy there, kind of pitting early and kind of waiting things out, but your pit stop was significantly shorter than anybody else's. What was it that led you to be able to stop for that short, and how close were you on fuel?
I think it came down to maybe about a gallon or so left. Yeah, thanks to Brandon Lambert for doing all our fuel calculations. We ended up taking not a ton of fuel. Had a really good pit entry too.
Yeah, I mean,
Really helped me out.
yeah, that strategy call was definitely one that we were keeping an eye on, just because you had so much clean track, and the guys that you were right behind, not only battling with themselves, but having to deal with lap traffic. So, is that kind of what brought you in?
Yeah, I could see Cody catching up on us pretty quick. Uh, and I knew I could probably be quicker because I could see the Porsches already starting at that point to suffer from a little tire wear. So yeah, strategy just short pit and see if we could get some clean track and get some better laps in.
Yeah, it's been a fantastic season for you. Of course, you've got two absolute monsters with you in the pro class typically, but
Yep.
you get the class win tonight, and I mean, I think it's your first podium in a minute as well. So congratulations. How do you feel about that?
Oh, it's pretty good. I'm pretty stoked about that. I've been fighting for a couple seasons now to try and get on the podium. It's good to be here. I think a couple weeks in a row. I think I actually got a Bathurst last week too. So
Well,
pretty
hey,
happy with that.
only a handful of races remain. And any goals for yourself with Road Atlanta and Daytona?
Road Atlanta. I think for me that'll just be one just to try and survive because there's a couple of really tricky sections there in the uphill that'll catch you out.
Well, hey, congratulations on the second place finish. Anybody you want to thank tonight?
Yeah, I want to thank my whole team, Ray Kingsbury for bringing me in, and all the guys at Spark and Last Lap Motorsports.
Hey, congratulations on second place finish, and best of luck the rest of the season.
All right, thanks.
That's
Take care, guys.
that's David Schofield, your second place finisher here tonight, and getting set for one final interview. And we just talked to his teammate a moment ago, but now we're going to be joined by our third place finisher, Steve Lane. And Steve, you had your shots there. Looks like maybe the pit stop caught you out.
Crowd's going wild, by the way. Steve, Steve, Steve.
So this is what it looks like up here. Pretty nice. I got lost twice on my way here.
Yeah,
Uh,
we had to kind of get the we had to kind of make room in the back of the trailer. We had to get the lazy boy that Challoner has, and Janny's got his massage chair. So, but no, it was definitely a fantastic battle for you. Just what happened at your pit stop? Looks like that's where you lost your time.
Yeah, the pit stop, I had to take a little bit more fuel than my teammate Cody, which was, we knew that was going to happen for some reason. I use a little bit more fuel. And when I was pulling into the pits, I was having a hard time finding my pit guy because there's like, I was going through like 3 cars. So I'm like, where's my pit guy? And I didn't want to overrun him. So I kind of took it a little slow there. But I think Schofield would have probably split us anyway. Did.
Yeah, you and your teammate took 2 of the 3 podium spots tonight, and your other teammate took the night off to kind of keep the championship battle interesting. But what's it like when it was you and your teammate up there at the front for so long? I mean, I'm sure you want to be racy, but at the same time, you have to realize what you're both racing for.
Yeah. We seen Schofield was like 30 some seconds back, but we knew he pitted, so we had to keep the pace up, but we didn't want to get too reckless with it. So we knew that Schofield was going to be coming because, as I mentioned, the early pit. So
Yeah, there was definitely some danger out there tonight, but next week's going to be, I think, even more dangerous. It's probably my least favorite road course of the season at Road Atlanta. What are your thoughts there?
um, watching the race, I love it, and it's got a good groove to it on iRacing. I don't mind it at all. It's definitely probably one of my top 10 tracks, favorite tracks. So I'm looking forward to it. I think we'll have a good setup.
Well, hey, congratulations on the third place finish and 2 of the top 3 for your team. Anybody you want to thank tonight?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say sorry to Kevin Fanning. I was kind of got loose there in the second to last turn and kind of collected him, and I couldn't believe that happened. So Kevin, I'm very sorry. I would like to thank Sim Experience for sponsoring us and everybody at Livewire Sim Sports. Michael for the setups and Cody for doing the what he does best.
Well, it was a great showing from you guys, and best of luck the rest of the way.
Yep, thank you.
That's Steve Lane, your third place finisher here tonight. And Ray, it's been a fun one for sure. It definitely got interesting towards the end of it.
Yeah, buddy. It was a real good one. We've had a bunch of real good ones this season. I'm actually losing my voice. I'm glad you handled those interviews for me. Um, wow, I'm looking forward to Road Atlanta. Bumpy track, iconic track. Should be fun. Challoner and Janny will both be back.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to the last couple of races. But next week, as we mentioned, we head here in this series, we head to Road Atlanta. Also heading to Bark River, one of the truck tracks for the Rallycross series on Monday night. That's going to be Josh Schmertz and Cody Erdman on the call over there. And those guys always put on a fantastic show at the truck tracks, so definitely going to be a fun one to watch, and can't wait for that. But in the meantime, we have to thank all of the sponsors that help us put these things on. That's everybody from Brian Son at Penguin RC, Major's Garage. We got Arcade Designs that helps us over in the Championship Series, as well as our sponsors over with Sim Racer Coin, and just about everybody that helps us out put these things on, whether it's Ray or Josh Mertz, Kieran Forrest, just about everybody that helped us out tonight. So best of luck to everybody for the rest of the way for all of our drivers, and thanks to all of our sponsors. And until next time, let's have fun out there. We'll race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.